Food history facts that sound made up, but aren't. From exploding chocolate bars to renamed cabbage and mechanical dough mixers powered by donkeys, the history of food is full of surprises. Some stories sound too strange to be true, like ancient waffle irons or astronauts eating bacon in space, but every one of them is real. Dive into these fascinating food history facts that will make you see your plate in a whole new way. Number 1. A sweet treat with a deadly secret. In 1943, British intelligence uncovered a sinister plot by the Nazis, chocolate bombs intended to assassinate Winston Churchill. MI5's intelligence chief warned, the enemy are using pound slabs of chocolate, made of steel with a very thin covering of real chocolate. Inside there is high explosive and a delay mechanism. The bombs, disguised as luxury Peter's chocolate wrapped in gold foil, could kill anyone within 10 feet when detonated. Spies revealed the plan, and the artist Lawrence Fish was tasked with sketching these deadly desserts to alert the public discreetly. The plot in these chilling sketches remained classified until 2009, when they became a sobering reminder of wartime ingenuity and danger. Number 2. The mystery of the pies with claws. In medieval England, chicken pies were both practical and peculiar. Bakers crafted coffins, a medieval term for pie crusts, and left chicken claws protruding from the sides. These claws served as handles for easy transportation and eating, a stark contrast to today's refined culinary presentations. The English love for meat pies stretched back centuries, but these peculiar pastries reflected a more utilitarian approach. With their edible crusts and claw handles, these pies were a quintessential part of medieval feasting, blending functionality with flavor in unexpected ways. Number 3. The surprising truth behind carrots' bright hue. The carrots we know today, vibrant and orange, are a product of selective cultivation. Originally, wild carrots were white, yellow, or purple. The first domesticated carrots, grown around 900 AD in Central Asia, were purple and yellow varieties prized for their rich taste and high nutritional value. The orange carrot emerged as a mutation in the Netherlands during the 16th and 17th centuries. Farmers cultivated this sweeter variety, and its popularity spread rapidly. Some historians even suggest that the orange carrot became a symbol of Dutch pride, coinciding with the rise of the House of Orange. Number 4. The Roman recipe that could make you burst. Roman culinary practices took food preparation to extravagant extremes, even when fattening poultry. Marcus Terentius Varro, a Roman scholar, documented methods such as feeding chickens wine-soaked bread for 20 days to achieve tender, fattened meat. But it didn't stop there. Romans also used barley mixed with lizard fat and cumin seeds to plump up their chickens. This mixture was so rich that Varro cautioned, with this food, men also grow so fat that they burst. Despite their decadence, Roman lawmakers discouraged overindulgence, and in 161 BC, a law prohibited the intentional fattening of birds, reflecting the tension between opulence and restraint in Roman society. Number 5. The fishy origins of a household condiment. Before it became the tomato-based condiment we know today, ketchup had a very different recipe. Its origins trace back to China, where kutsayap was a fermented fish sauce used as a seasoning. European sailors discovered it in the 17th century and adapted it using mushrooms, anchovies, and even walnuts. In colonial America, ketchup evolved into a mushroom-based sauce. Tomatoes didn't enter the mix until the early 19th century, when they became a popular ingredient in America. This historical journey explains why the condiment is still labeled tomato ketchup today, a nod to its unexpected beginnings. Number 6. How the Greeks reinvented breakfast. Modern waffles owe a surprising debt to ancient Greece, where early waffle irons were already in use. These tools, known as obelia irons, were used to cook flat wafers rather than the fluffy waffles we enjoy today. The Greeks pressed dough between two metal plates engraved with intricate designs, often symbols or patterns, and cooked it over an open flame. These crispy wafers were often flavored with honey, herbs, or spices, making them a versatile treat for religious offerings and casual snacks alike. As centuries passed, this technique evolved through the Middle Ages, with designs becoming more elaborate. By the 14th century, the waffle had transformed into a thicker, yeast-based delicacy in Northern Europe, paving the way for the modern Belgian waffle. Number 7. The moon's most unexpected meal. When Neil Armstrong made his iconic One Small Step onto the Moon in 1969, he and Buzz Aldrin also made history with their unconventional lunar menu. After their lunar module landed on the moon's surface, the astronauts paused for meal to refuel for their monumental tasks. This first extraterrestrial meal featured cubes of bacon, nut strips, peaches, sugar cookies, coffee, and a pineapple grapefruit drink. The pre-packaged, freeze-dried food was specially designed for space travel, allowing astronauts to enjoy familiar flavors without crumbs or spoilage in zero gravity. NASA's approach to astronaut nutrition made this meal not only practical but a symbolic blend of humanity's culinary and technological achievements. Number 8. The accidental frozen treat that became a sensation. On a chilly night in 1905, 11-year-old Frank Epperson left a cup of soda with a stirring stick outside his California home. By morning, the liquid had frozen around the stick, giving young Frank an idea for a tasty frozen treat. Frank named his invention Epsicle, combining his name and the word icicle. For years, he shared Epsicles with friends and family. After becoming a father, his children nicknamed the treat Pop Cycle, a name that stuck. In 1923, Epperson patented the treat and began selling popsicles, revolutionizing frozen desserts. Today, this accidental creation remains one of the most beloved warm-weather snacks worldwide. Number 9. A bagel tradition you've never heard of. Bagels, known for their chewy texture and iconic ring shape, have a rich history dating back centuries. By the 14th century, German bakers brought bretzel-like bread to Poland, where it evolved into the modern bagel. Poland's Queen Jadwiga popularized bagels during Lent, associating them with sustenance and religious tradition. In 1610, Krakow passed a law mandating bagels as gifts for women after childbirth. The bagel's round shape symbolized the cycle of life, making it a talisman of health and longevity for new mothers. This tradition underscores the bagel's cultural significance and why it remains a cherished food in Jewish and Polish heritage to this day. Number 10. From prison fare to fine dining. Before lobster became a luxury dish, it was so plentiful in New England that piles of the crustaceans washed up on shorelines in 2-foot-high mounds. Native Americans used lobsters as fertilizer for crops and cooked them wrapped in seaweed over hot stones. In colonial times, lobsters were considered poverty food and served to prisoners and servants. In fact, some Massachusetts laborers negotiated contracts stating they wouldn't be forced to eat lobster more than twice a week. The tide turned in the 19th century when chefs and railroads marketed lobster as a delicacy. By the mid-20th century, lobster's reputation had transformed, making it one of the most expensive and sought-after seafood dishes. Number 11. The fruit that wrote history. When Spanish explorers arrived in the Americas, they encountered avocados, a fruit unlike any in Europe. Though they quickly embraced the creamy fruit as a delicacy, they also discovered another use for its large seeds: dye production. The Spanish crushed avocado pits to create a rich red ink used for writing official documents and dyeing textiles pink. This dual-purpose fruit was both practical and luxurious, becoming an integral part of the colonial economy. Explorer Martin Fernandez de Enciso marveled at the avocado's flavor, describing it as like butter, marvelous to the palate. While guacamole reigns supreme today, the avocado's historical role as a dye-making ingredient adds an unexpected twist to its fascinating legacy. Number 12. The presidential war against soup. Richard Nixon, known for his controversial presidency, also made a peculiar mark on White House dining traditions by banning soup at state dinners. In 1969, Nixon hosted a state dinner for Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau. Afterward, Nixon told Bob Haldeman, his chief of staff, that elaborate dinners were unnecessarily time-consuming and suggested cutting the soup course. "Men don't really like soup," he claimed. Haldeman, suspicious of the reasoning, contacted Nixon's valet. The truth emerged: Nixon had spilled soup on his vest during the dinner. Embarrassed by the mishap, Nixon ensured soup was permanently removed from official menus during his tenure. While the decision seemed minor, it symbolized the president's attention to personal discomfort, even in matters of state etiquette. Number 13. The ingenious baker who changed bread forever. Baking in ancient Rome transitioned from a domestic chore to a professional craft as the empire's wealth grew. By the 2nd century BC, professional bakeries began to thrive, and with them came innovations to streamline bread production. A freed slave named Marcus Virgilius Eurysaces revolutionized baking by inventing the first mechanical dough mixer. His ingenious device consisted of a stone basin where dough was placed in wooden paddles that were turned by a horse or donkey walking in circles. This innovation not only improved efficiency but also paved the way for large-scale bread production. Eurysaces, who became a wealthy baker, even built a monumental tomb in Rome shaped like a bread oven to celebrate his contributions to the craft. His invention marked a turning point in culinary history, blending engineering with gastronomy. Number 14. The meat-eating marathon of Lewis and Clark. When Lewis and Clark set out in 1804 to explore the uncharted West, they packed enormous quantities of food. Their keelboat carried 7 tons of supplies, including flour, pork, corn, beans, sugar, and an intriguing 93 pounds of dried soup. Despite these provisions, wild game became a staple of their diet. Clark recorded in his journal, "We eat an immensity of meat. It requires 4 deer, or an elk and a deer, or 1 buffalo to supply us plentifully 24 hours. On particularly successful hunting days, some men consumed as much as 9 pounds of meat each." This extreme caloric intake was necessary for the grueling physical demands of the journey, which included paddling upstream, trekking through rugged terrain, and surviving harsh winters. Their carnivorous habits underscore the expedition's reliance on the land to sustain them. Number 15. Peanut butter's unlikely origins. Peanut butter is often associated with American cuisine, but its origins lie in ancient South America, where the Incas and Aztecs ground peanuts into paste. Fast forward to the 19th century, and peanut butter's modern form owes its patent to a Canadian inventor. In 1884, Dr. Marcellus Gilmore Edson of Montreal patented a peanut paste made by milling roasted peanuts between 2 heated surfaces. This innovation predates Dr. John Henry Kellogg's better-known 1895 U.S. patent for grinding peanuts into butter. While George Washington Carver is frequently credited with inventing peanut butter, his contributions lie in popularizing diverse uses for peanuts, including recipes for oils, dyes, and plastics. Canada's role in peanut butter's history adds an unexpected twist to this quintessentially American snack. Number 16. The war that changed sauerkraut's name. World War I sparked a wave of anti-German sentiment in the United States, which even extended to the nation's food vocabulary. Americans began renaming German-inspired foods to sound more patriotic. Sauerkraut, long associated with German cuisine, was rebranded as Liberty cabbage. Similarly, Frankfurters became Liberty sausages, and hamburgers were dubbed Liberty steaks. Even dachshunds didn't escape the wave of patriotism, they became Liberty pups. The fervor went beyond food. German measles was renamed Liberty measles, and some cities even banned German-language newspapers. This renaming campaign exemplified how deeply war propaganda influenced everyday life, embedding patriotism into the nation's dining tables and beyond.